All right, we're back working on the E36 M3 and we're finally gonna get it back on the road today. Pop it. You should probably order a new O-ring, but I'm stupid. Let it run for a little bit and it's still not leaking, so I'm gonna call that good. So a little while back, I popped a fuel line on this car and then it started leaking gas everywhere. So I replaced the fuel line, replaced a couple more fuel lines, like from the tank to the pump to the sender and all that. After I did all that, it was still leaking from the actual sending unit. And it's a pretty common issue with E36s where the sending unit gets like hairline cracks around the lid and the fittings, and it'll leak fuel and you'll get a real bad fuel smell, and the actual cap of mine was filling up with a little puddle of fuel. So I feel like that's not talked about enough with E36s, and it's definitely something they should probably address, especially with how old these cars are getting. Plastic parts kind of just wear out and crack after a while. So I'm gonna swap mine out today and I'll show you guys how I'm gonna do that. So this is the part that we're gonna be replacing. This is the fuel sending unit. It's funny because in the last video I was shouting out FCP Euro and praising them on how they always had parts. And then I ordered one from Rock Auto because it was cheaper and it was the wrong one, which is confusing because this part is different from, I think, early 95 to 95 to 96 to the rest of the years of the E36. So this is the correct one. I had to send one back from Rock Auto and get this one from FCP eventually. So yeah, now we got the right part that needs to go in the car. So we're gonna pull the old one out and swap this one in, and hopefully we'll have no more leaks on that side of the tank and we'll be good to drive it again. This might be a little bit of a pain in the ass to show you guys, but once again, I'm pulling out this plate for the sending unit. So let me do that real quick. So again, once you get your 4 Phillips head screws off, the plate should just come out and you're left with your sending unit. So as you can see, you got 2 fuel lines and a connector. Pop that connector off and then give me a minute and I'll pull these fuel lines off. I have them in, yeah, I have the fuel line hose clamps in. Super weird because I didn't expect to be pulling this out again, but of course nothing works out perfectly. So give me a second and I'll pull those hose clamps off and pull those lines out. I don't recommend putting these on like this. I would definitely try to find a better position for your hose clamps, because this is going to be a pain in the ass to get these off and back on. And there you go. Now you got your fuel lines off, your connectors off, and now we got to work on trying to get this lock ring off because I do not have the tool for it. All right, you guys are kind of in a weird position right now, but I'm hoping that works to film this. I'm gonna try to get like a flathead or a punch or something and kind of like work this lock ring loose. All right, we'll try this way first. Let me get my light back, but it looks like it's starting to work. Alright, lock rings off. Make sure you can still see. Alright, lock rings off, and we're going to pull the pump straight out. There's obviously some hoses that are going around the inside of the tank, so they'll come out too. You should probably order a new O-ring, but I'm stupid and I didn't, so if you're doing this, order a new O-ring. There you go, that's your old sending unit. So the issue with these is this lid actually gets like little cracks around it, little hairline cracks around the fittings, and then it'll leak like you saw in my last video. So yeah, hopefully this will fix our issue with the fuel leak. So yeah, like I said, I mean, you probably want to replace the O-ring when you do this. It completely slipped my mind, and I'm just going to put this in for now, and if it leaks out of the O-ring, that's easier. I mean, I'll just pull it back out. It's not, like you can see, it's not really that hard to get out. We're just going to go ahead and throw this back in the car, and I'm going to throw the fuel lines back on it, plug the connector back in, and we're going to see if it leaks still, and hopefully it doesn't, and it'll be good to roll now. I feel like the issue with these fuel pump lids and caps and stuff really isn't like talked about that much with E36s, but it really probably should be. You never really want gas leaking into your car, especially vapors. I mean, like if you're smoking and driving and you drop a cigarette back in your back seat and, you know, God forbid that somehow, it's just not good to have fuel leaking. That's one fluid that you really don't want to leak. Everybody knows about the subframe bushing problems and all that stuff with E36s and like all the memes about them being unreliable, but leaking fuel is like a huge safety issue. So I feel like if you have an E36, you should definitely take the time to pop your back seat seat off, and maybe just check the tops and make sure they're all dry. And I mean, if they look super crusty like mine do, you might as well just replace them at the same time. It's really not that hard, as you can see. Also, my fuel tank barely has any fuel in it, so that definitely makes this a cleaner job. But if you did have a fuller tank, you would definitely be getting fuel everywhere. That's just a warning. All right, hose clamps are back on the lines. We're gonna slide this new pump in, tighten everything up, and then we're gonna have to jump it and make sure it doesn't leak. I was contemplating putting 2 hose clamps on this. I know I've seen a few people on the forum say they put more than 1 hose clamp on it. We're gonna try this one for now and see what happens. All right, so let me get you guys set up and then we'll start putting this sender back in. Got our new O-ring on, or not our new O-ring, but our reused one. I'm gonna try to slide this back in the same way it came out. So the O-ring was a little bit of a pain to get back in. Probably wouldn't have been that hard if I would have ordered a new one, but I guess hindsight is 20/20. So we're gonna throw the lock ring back on, reconnect these fuel lines, plug it back in, and make sure it doesn't leak. Yeah, this is where the tool would definitely come in handy when tightening this up. So I guess we're gonna tap it tight again. You don't want to go too tight on bolts like that, so that should be fine. Just tap it till it kind of stops spinning. We're going to reconnect these fuel lines, reconnect the connector, and then we should be good. Fuel lines are back on. I'm really still not too hype on the way these hose clamps sit, but it's kind of all I have right now. I would definitely recommend using the permanent like band type clamps that they come with, but this is what's gonna have to do for now, and I'll get back to it when I'll probably drop the tank when I do the subframe bushings. Last thing you're gonna do is plug your connector in. And the reason I don't like those hose clamps is because I have to put them on with a wrench like this, which is extremely tedious to do. And I don't really like the way the clamps like touch each other. So like I said, when the tank comes out, I'll change it to the OEM style, how they're supposed to be. But for now, that'll have to do. All right, so now I'm gonna jump start it, make sure it doesn't leak. I'm gonna jump start my mom's car. If it doesn't leak, then we're all good. We can finally close this part of the build with the fuel leaks and all, and hopefully get to some more fun stuff. And if not, I'm gonna have to figure something out to make this work, because it's really getting on my nerves that it's still leaking fuel. I kinda wanna drive the car, even though it is cold out now. All right, let me jump the car, make sure it's not leaking, and then we can call this video a wrap. All right, so I fired up pretty easy. Let's see if it's leaking out of this sender still. But it is not looking like it's leaking out of this sender, which is very good. Hopefully this issue is finally done with. Let it run for a little bit and it's still not leaking, so I'm gonna call that good. Quick little update too, Mason actually picked up some stuff to fix his bike. So there's gonna be some videos on that. New kicker cover or something, I don't know, he can correct me in the comments. New primary cover. So hopefully this will be back riding soon too. And then also I got like a cheap tire rack. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Got like a cheap tire rack to put all the old tires up. I might actually get another one. They're so cheap on Amazon, I couldn't believe it. They're actually really not that bad quality. So we might actually pick another one up and just hang the rest of them up and get them off the ground. I'm hyped that that's all done leaking, back together. That's cool, start driving it again. Got some cool stuff coming up. So make sure you tune into the next one. Like this video, comment, subscribe, whatever. And we'll see you then.